Well, hey there! I'm here to talk about my new invention called Toontubers, which are kind of what you're seeing right now. This is actually just my OBS feed. So not only are these fun for streams, but you could even use them in, I don't know, like video essays. Toontubers are kind of like a middle ground between PNG tubers and Vtubers, for when PNG tubers are too limited and maybe you just don't like the smoothness of a Vtuber. Instead of being static images, Toontubers use talking animations and even have this little transition between poses so there isn't some awkward jump. You can even add like a little bounce to it, like, oh, look at that little hair bounce. Toontubers can technically have unlimited expressions and actions while also sporting a peak function. That way when you speak loudly, the mouth stays open. On top of various emotions, if you want to do some canned animations like the pop-up I did earlier, or even taking a little sip beat, you can do that too.
Compie motherfuckers.
Poison! Basically, if you can animate it, you can add it to your Toontuber. They run through a program called Sammy and use an audio move filter in OBS, so I'd like to think that you don't need like a super beefy PC to use them. I will preface by saying I am by no means a master coder or insanely knowledgeable of Sammy, so this might not be super optimized. You can still run into some graphical glitches here and there. Not to mention, this only works with an older media encoder for OBS. I'm not sure why, but from OBS 28 and above, the media encoder will unload a source for a moment when swapping files, resulting in the Toontuber kind of like blinking in and out of existence, which, you know, isn't ideal. But hopefully in this video, I can get you started into having your own Toontuber. First things first, let's talk about the animation behind each emote. The way that I have it set up, every Toontuber emote breaks down into 4 files. The set animation, the idle, the talking, and the peak. The set animation is generally just an overshoot of your idle that plays after your swap animation. For my swap, my Toontuber crouches down to add anticipation, so the set animation is normally overshooting the idle by going above the resting point and sometimes adding a little hair bounce. The idle animation is just a blink, and then, well, idling. The talking animation follows the anime mouth principle, which is open, open again, half open again, and closed. The peak animation is just a still of your open talking pose, but you could change it if you want. It just might not look as smooth. Every file should follow this structure, replacing the word emote with whatever the emote is. For example, I just have my basic look as normal. I save the files as MP4s, but any video type that works in OBS will work for this. You can even use GIFs, and yes, I know that's not the correct pronunciation, I just refuse to conform. Now, let's get into the more technical stuff. The main things you'll need for Toontubing is the program Sammy, OBS, the audio move filter, and StreamFX plugins. As of making this video, I noticed that the 1.12 version of StreamFX I have is now apparently paywalled. I got it before that happened. So if you don't already have it working, you may need to either pay for that or do a sort of annoying workaround. To set Sammy up, you can go follow the step-by-step tutorial on the website. I'll add a link in the description, of course. So get all that connected into OBS. A tricky part here was mentioned before. If you are on OBS version 28 or above, you're gonna have to download an older version's plugins. If you are OBS version 27 and below, you can skip this part. For those higher versions, download OBS version 27. Go into the OBS plugins folder and grab the obs-ffmpeg.dll and replace your current one. On top of that, just drag and drop the bin folder 2 to your current install and choose not to overwrite anything. There are a few files needed in there to let the old encoder work. Back to everyone. You'll want to head into advanced settings and make sure your OBS priority is high. Once that's done, you can open up the deck text that's part of the file I linked in the description and copy all that junk. In Sammy, with that in your clipboard, hit paste and it should create a Toontuber deck for you. Open the deck by double-clicking on it and then open this command in the bottom right. Choose to run the button while connected to OBS and it should immediately create a scene and a few sources for you. Make sure that the media sources only have looping check. Have all 3 sources visible. You'll have to manually add the mirror sources yourself. Add 2 and have them on top of your source list. It should look like this. Essentially, what we're doing is having a green screen here, so it'll cover all the other video files and give the illusion of fluid animation, despite the fact that it's really just cycling through different files. OBS cycles files slower if they are hidden, which is why the talking files that will be swapped are on the bottom, getting covered by everything else. If you don't have StreamFX for the source mirror, you can sort of work around this by placing the talk and peak sources in separate scenes, and then adding those scenes as one in this. With all of that set, you'll want to add an audio move filter to your mic. You'll need to mess with the settings yourself to fit your mic, but you'll at the very least want to set it to magnitude, source visibility, enable over and disable under, while having the source be the talk and peak mirrors. You'll want 2 of these, one for normal talking and one for peak audio, with the peak filter having a much stricter trigger to only allow loud audio to activate it. After that's set up, head back to Sammy and open up the animation trigger button. Scroll down a bit to this section and simply make sure that the source and filters match their actual names in OBS. You will also want to pay attention to this section as you'll need to adjust the timing to match your personal animations. The current timings are set for my examples. Finally, look at the emote button. This is the template to add emote swaps. Simply change this text to whatever your emote files are called. In my case, normal. If I want to add a happy emote, simply label the files accordingly and have this text read happy. Make sure that all of your files are in a tuber folder that is directly in your Sammy directory. After that, you can right-click it and edit the triggers. There is a large variety of stuff you can do to activate them, but you'll most likely just want to use a hotkey. If you do have a Steam Deck, you can download an additional plugin that allows you to trigger Sammy buttons from that instead. I myself use a Stream Deck and foot pedal to easily swap emotes while gaming. In order to add a canned animation, you can use the canned animation example and just changing this section to whatever your animation file is called. I'll say again, I am not an expert programmer. This is basically like a public beta of an early access sort of thing. I'm unsure how to optimize OBS loading media files, and even I have like visual glitches every now and then. There is probably a good chance that if you run into a bug, I'll be unable to help. I essentially blew up my OBS the other day bug fixing for people who commissioned me. If anyone who is more well versed in OBS than Sammy knows a better way to optimize this, please let me know. You can contact me with this email. I'd love to get this working without having to do the encoder swap, but I've yet to find a way around it. If you do wind up making a Toontuber, please be sure to share it. You can either tag me on Twitter or use the Toontuber hashtag. I wanted to do something nice and productive to start out this year and keep on moving towards being a better person. I'll be sure to post updates to this here and there as I learn more, and of course, if you'd like to see a Toontuber live, you can always tune into my streams. That joke still isn't good. Best of luck with the setup, and I look forward to seeing everyone's creations. Okay. Bye.